What's going on, y'all? We getting ready to get into this reaction video. We have another episode of, I'm pretty sure this is Fatal Attraction. I don't know why this thing is labeling it as Dateline NBC. Dateline gets juicy, but Fatal Attraction really gets juicy. I'm eating too, so I made I think these mashed potatoes are cold. Oh my gosh, they are. I'm not gonna get up and go rewarm this up. I'm over it. Y'all, I don't know if this camera is crooked or what, because you know it's got the little line to tell you if it's lined up. So if I'm over here leaned up, don't worry about it. Side note, y'all, I'm still recovering. I've, for some reason, been into strawberry Fantas. I don't know why. Do y'all do that? Like, do y'all kind of randomly kind of get into something that you typically wouldn't really be into? I have what's called a short-term addictive personality, where I'll get into something and then I'll be on it. And then after like a week, I'll be like, like 2 weeks or so, maybe like a month. I just exaggerated. Like between 2 weeks and a month, I'll be like, oh, I don't like that anymore. But once I like it, I like it. I made some baked chicken, some mashed potatoes that are cold, and some sweet peas. And if anybody, also, if you listening to this and you can hear me chew, I don't know what to tell you. Okay. If anybody, let me stop this. If anybody knows me, know that I eat mayo with everything. Do. All right, let's get into this video. Y'all, sorry if I'm going to be sniffling and different things like that. Okay, let's get into it. I hope this is a good one. Let's see what it's talking about.
She'd spent most of her life traveling the world.
She grew up in Nigeria, spent some time in Thailand.
Do y'all feel like y'all
until she found the man of her dreams.
live in another country?
He was in the military.
I'm gonna post a video.
He's a man of honor. He's a man of discipline. She was in
And I
love.
put honey on my chicken.
She moved
Sure
to the
do.
U.S. They got married, and then she got pregnant.
They're building a life together.
But it comes to a horrific end.
Y'all, I use so many
We
napkins
found a
when I
dead
eat.
body in the refrigerator.
A dead body in the
There were
refrigerator.
multiple stab wounds.
That's going to haunt them the rest of their lives.
The gruesome discovery launches a frantic search.
Time is ticking.
The police put out an Amber Alert.
They're worried about that child.
Where's the baby? Who has the baby?
But are the police the only ones searching?
To speak with the federales.
A dead
Why
body in a
flee to Mexico?
refrigerator.
He didn't tell me his full name.
The mashed potatoes on the
He
bottom.
said he feared for his son's life.
She was tied up in an organized criminal ring.
I call him the Nigerian Mafia.
December 8th, 2014. It's 2 weeks after Thanksgiving in Houston, Texas,
Okay, Houston.
a metropolis of just over 7 million people.
That's a lot of people live in
Houston is
Houston.
such a big, vast city. You could literally drive 1 hour and still be in
But they're
Houston.
gonna get overpopulated.
The good news is if you move here, you can reach out the window and not touch your neighbor's house.
But the property manager of one townhome community
There's
is
a lot of us
learning
over
that
there
even
now.
in this sprawling city, things can still be too close for comfort.
Her phone has been ringing all day.
There were some complaints about a smell.
Neighbors would be walking around, and the smell is getting stronger and
Hold on.
stronger.
A lot of y'all probably seen that Netflix series with Jeffrey Dahmer. I'm actually from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I actually know somebody whose brother was murdered by him. But so the stories is like endless. But y'all, back then they used to say how bad it used to smell over in that area. And all those years, the people did not know it was actually dead bodies. They just thought it was like a bad sewage pipeline situation, a bad pipeline sewage situation. The whole time, it was Jeffrey. Jeffrey, you bogus.
After all, it's only a couple of weeks after Thanksgiving.
That appears to be the case when the
they said
manager
it was
and
a little
maintenance
funky by
man enter the
Anastasia house.
apartment, trying to track down the source of the smell.
When they try the light switch, it appears that the power has been shut off.
Think about the last time you lost electricity and all that stuff in the freezers and the fridge went bad.
The maintenance man thinks it's a Thanksgiving turkey that had rotted away.
And the smell does appear to be coming from the refrigerator.
You know something gonna smell like that?
27-year-old Anastasia Oakina Lambert had seen a lot of the world before putting down roots in Houston.
I like the name Anastasia.
Anna came from Nigeria, and she went to Thailand for schooling.
Anna enrolled at a university in Bangkok to get a degree in multimedia journalism.
Her hope and her dream was to be on a
Yes, I
television
lost my list when I
station
meet. I don't know
and a
why.
host on her
Y'all
own
got any
show.
quirky things y'all be doing? That
In
people kinda be like,
2012,
"That's weird.
while
Why would you
studying
do
in
that?"
Thailand,
I would
Anna
open
met
on
a
the bus in
former
the middle of the
American
night, too.
serviceman named Patrick Lambert online.
Patrick was 10 years older than Anna, and he was living in Hawaii.
He talked a lot about how he was in the military.
Now pause. How do y'all feel about dating people that's like that much significantly older than you? I know it's a little bit more accepted, I guess, quote unquote, if you are a woman and dating an older man. But of course we see younger men dating older women. How do y'all feel about that? Do y'all think that that can be compatible? Do y'all think that can work? Or do you think if you're a younger woman and you got an older man who's trying to be your daddy? Or are y'all like, no, it's doable?
Anna.
What y'all think?
He's a man of honor. He's a man of discipline. He's a man that wants to serve other people because he wants to serve his country.
Patrick was equally impressed with Anna.
Anna was a
I
fantastic
don't know if
person.
I could
She
date a
was
military
generous,
man.
she was kind, she was loving.
And what started as an
gone a lot.
online friendship quickly became something more.
They fell in love.
She was sure he was the man for her.
She was in love and she was excited.
So when Patrick asked Anastasia to move to America for
Y'all know
him,
the experts be saying
she
don't do
said
no
yes.
online dating. They say it is
She
not
moves to
real for a
Hawaii.
man.
Not long after arriving in Hawaii, Patrick proposed and they got married. She wanted to be married and she kind of had those traditional values.
now armed with a green card from U.S. Immigration, Anna was ready to take the world by storm.
The interview, it was perfect.
She'd already had her mind set on her goals because her dream was to have her own TV show.
You have no idea how much I want this job.
She got jobs in the publishing world. She worked for a web hosting
Y'all ever
company.
had an interview that
She
went
was
well?
really getting her foot in the door.
And then you didn't get the job.
But for a while,
like, I
she
know I
still
killed that.
felt like something was missing.
Even though she had her husband, she had goals, she had dreams, she wanted family.
And in 2013, that dream became reality.
She got pregnant with their son.
She was thrilled to become a mother, and they were so excited to start a family.
Soon after their son was born, the family moved to Houston.
Anna and the baby went first.
Houston has a large Nigerian population. So while it may be a foreign city to her, it's also a little
Y'all,
bit of
sometimes
home.
after you have a baby,
On the southwest side of
somebody,
Houston, you
it's
do
hard for
have a lot of
relationships to recover
stores, churches,
from that.
eateries in that
Not
area
all.
that are specific for
It's
those who are
changes you go through.
Nigerian.
It was easy to adjust.
Patrick followed a few months later,
it's a hard
and the
adjustment.
family
To
was
become a mom, a
reunited.
father,
They had a
family,
one-year-old
the
son.
changes.
Anna
A
was
lot.
hardworking. She has
Beautiful
come from
experience, but it's a
Nigeria.
lot.
She came from nothing. She went to Thailand, got schooling, came to
You
America,
have to be
and
very
she's
intentional
living the
about
American
keeping your
dream.
family together. You have
But
to be really
now-
willing to do the work.
After multiple complaints from her neighbors, Anna's property manager and the maintenance man are investigating a pungent smell coming from her condo.
She tried calling Anna, but her phone went straight to voicemail.
The neighbors were wondering, God, what is going on there?
But inside, there appears to be a simple explanation.
When she tries to turn on the lights, it's clear the power has been shut off.
Y'all thought it was a
And
Thanksgiving
the smell
turkey?
is coming from the refrigerator.
He thinks it's a Thanksgiving turkey, and it was a very strong, pungent smell.
It was so rancid that the maintenance man had to put on a mask and some gloves.
Then he opens the door.
They're overcome.
Baby, ain't no turkey finna smell like that.
It's like a wave
not
hitting
that
you.
bad. I guess
Obviously, he realizes it's not a turkey.
It's coming from a dead body.
By December of 2014,
That was
it
not a
looked as
turkey.
if
That
Nigerian
was a dead
immigrant
body. I could
Anastasia
not even
Owakina
imagine seeing
Lambert
something like
was
that.
well on her way to realizing the
Oh my
American
goodness.
dream.
Anna, her husband Patrick, and their young son had relocated to Houston.
She's in a new city, making new friends, at her new job.
Y'all, this is
She was
mayo
very successful. She's doing really well here.
and honey.
But now, Anna's property manager and the maintenance man have made a horrifying discovery in her kitchen.
There's a grown woman
My thing is,
stuffed
how do you
in a
get a
refrigerator.
body in the refrigerator?
Just as if somebody went deer hunting and put their kill in a fridge to
You
keep
went
it
through too much.
on ice.
But since the apartment's power was cut off, the body was badly decomposed.
The smell of death is not a smell that you can get out of your mind. It's a smell that you'll
Baby, I
always
got a weak
remember.
stomach.
That's going to haunt them the rest of their lives.
No.
As soon as she recovers her composure,
This is true.
the building manager immediately
smell
calls
death,
911.
Houston Fire Medical, what is your emergency? We found a dead body in a
It's like, you
refrigerator.
can't even explain it, what it smells like.
Although it's a dead body, it doesn't quite register
The
with the
emergency is a dead
911
body in the
operator.
refrigerator.
Okay, we can start the CPR and I can tell you what to do until help arrives.
Bam.
body's been probably there, I don't know how long. Is it smelly?
CPR.
Okay, we do have help on the way.
The 911 operator dispatches both the coroner and homicide detectives to their location.
Who were my moves at that entered that phone?
When the police arrive, they restore the power, then make sure no one else is inside.
There's not a lot of things out of place. Nothing to show that it was some sort of burglary or a
I know
robbery.
somebody that got that couch set.
There was no forced entry.
Well, they used to have it.
But there are blood stains.
Most of the blood appears
not the
to
one.
be in the master bedroom.
There's some blood stains on the sheets on the bed. We believe that's where she is killed.
How the victim was killed becomes obvious once the coroner's team begins the grim task of removing
His
the
mama said
body
do
from the
CPR. Baby,
refrigerator.
she's gone.
There were multiple stab wounds to the neck. Obviously, that was the cause of her death.
Not 10, not 12, multiple stab wounds to the
And just real quick, let me put this disclaimer out here. I may say little jokes and different things like that, but nothing about somebody passing away is funny by far. If you know me, you know that I've had two brothers that were actually
neck area.
murdered. So
Over and over and over again.
that's
It was
all I have.
almost 20 times. That's overkill.
The nature of the
that is
wounds may
personal.
also tell detectives something about the killer's motive.
A knife attack is going to be a very personal attack.
When you stab someone, you are also feeling the effect of the stab in your arm, in your hand. And you can hear it, you can
Ooh.
see it, and it's a feeling, right? It is a very close type of heinous
Let
crime.
me, y'all, I've punched
It
somebody
was
in
a
the
violent
mouth,
killing.
and I could feel they
Then, once she was dead, the killer had hidden her body.
The killer took all of the shelves out and placed her in the
I don't know if that would be
refrigerator.
technically hiding. You put it in the
Placing
refrigerator.
the body inside the refrigerator,
Like
it
what?
preserves it. It slows down the decomposition process.
Or it would have if the power hadn't been shut off.
Eventually, that refrigerator door could not stop the stench.
But is the body in the refrigerator Anastasia? When the detectives turn to the apartment manager, she's not certain.
I can't really say. She was unrecognizable.
Hold on, y'all keep watching. I
Given
need
the
to go
condition
wash
of the
my
body,
hands. I'm too
it will
OCD.
take DNA or dental records for a positive ID.
However, the manager is able to tell detectives that
Don't do
Anna
that.
is married
Y'all don't go nowhere.
and has a son.
How old is the little boy?
Can't be no more than a year old.
She hadn't realized Anna was married until Patrick showed up several months after moving in.
They moved here from Hawaii, so I guess he was there wrapping things up.
Do you have a number for him?
No, I don't have a number for him, but I do have Anna's number.
Still, there may be a way for the detectives to track down Patrick.
The police put out an Amber Alert with Patrick Lambert and a picture of his son.
They're worried about the welfare of the child, and Patrick is obviously a person that they want to talk to.
In investigations where a spouse is killed, the investigators look at the person that's closest to them, which in this case is going to be the husband.
At this point, they really have no idea how this happened. They just know that there's this body in the fridge.
Could he be dead too? Or is he a suspect?
All the detectives can do is hope that the Amber Alert leads them to Patrick and the missing child.
Amber Alerts, they can generate tips. Sometimes they're false, but occasionally they come through.
But will it pay off this time?
Somebody called in saying that they had seen Patrick.
And they give a location.
Not only was Patrick alive, he was at a house only a few miles from the crime scene.
Patrick, don't piss me off, Patrick. I gotta get my charger. Let me see if I can reach it. Patrick, your wife is a goner. And where are you at? Down the street.
Detectives investigating the murder of 27-year-old Anastasia Oakina Lambert have just received a tip that her husband, Patrick Lambert, is still in the city.
Where was this?
Someone called in response to the Amber Alert and said Anna's husband was at a house a couple of miles away.
So the officers went to that home.
Hey, let's go, man. We got Patrick.
And when the detectives knock on the door, a man answers.
Who is it?
He looked strikingly like Patrick Lambert.
But it sure isn't Patrick.
He was cooperative. He showed them his ID.
It's simply a case of mistaken identity.
This poor guy happens to match Patrick's description.
He doesn't have a clue who Anna is. He doesn't have an idea of what's gone on.
Have a good night. You too.
It's a disappointing outcome for the detectives.
You almost have to start over and recommit your efforts to see what you can find. But you keep working.
And later that evening, they get another call into the tip line.
And this caller, they're telling the detectives, are you sure you've identified the right person?
Yeah, it's called a tip
Because
line.
the caller claims that Anna is still alive.
The detectives
Y'all
are
got
caught
the
off
spirit of
guard by this.
confusion.
Is it possible the
Where's
body
Anna,
in the
Anna?
refrigerator isn't Anna?
The medical examiner has yet to confirm the body's identity.
This caller then tells them, well, I work with Anna. She was at work with me yesterday.
When the detectives contact the grocery store where the caller works, they confirm that
Now
a woman
look.
named Anna Oakina Lambert does work at that store.
But the address that the store has on file for her isn't where Anna lived.
Somebody is using her identity. Obviously, that's suspicious.
1996
Hoping to
is the
get to
first
the
when
bottom
Amber-
of
when the
it,
Amber Alert was
detectives
created.
head to the mystery woman's address.
Y'all, if y'all don't know the story, look it up. It's a
They
good
speak to
story.
her.
Not
She's
because
very
you know what
cooperative.
happened.
Her name is Jacqueline Afia.
Like Anna, Jacqueline is also from Nigeria.
Is that how you know Anna?
Sorta. We met in Thailand.
Okay.
Turns out that Anna and
Y'all better
Jacqueline went to the
travel,
same college in Thailand.
What?
We were both studying communications, and since we're both Nigerian, we just started hanging out.
Y'all clicked.
If you find someone
get
that
it,
has the
Bookie.
same interests as you, it helps you adjust or
It
to
ain't nothing like
acclimate to
clicking with
wherever
somebody.
you are.
They became close, but had lost touch.
Super side note. I was just saying it's nothing like clicking with somebody. But for transparency, before, not right before, but before I did this reaction video, y'all, no matter what I'm doing, I got to have my house coat close. It's like my lioness blanket. But before this moment, I was saying it's really good to click with somebody. But before this moment, not right before I recorded this, but earlier I was crying because I was like, man, you know, I was just kind of talking to God about just certain things and just telling him about how I was feeling, things that I was really wanting and desiring and just talking about, just talking to him like, man, God, I feel like I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to get that. Of course, you can't find a you in someone else, but, I was just talking to him about just wanting that, not perfect match, but match. And I know I am not the only one. A lot of people try to make it seem like that's okay. You don't need nobody. You came in this world alone. You're going to die alone, et cetera, et cetera. But the devil is a lie. It is okay to want partnership, friendship, a relationship with your loved ones, whether it's your parents, your siblings, your cousins. It's okay to want a best friend. It's okay to want to be married. It's okay to want to date and connect with somebody. Those things are okay. The Bible does not want us to be alone. The unfortunate side of it is that you have flawed humans. So there is a lot that you're going to have to go through and work through. But you're not here on the earth to find a perfect person or to find your perfect match, because there's no such thing as perfect, if you will. But just finding that person that you feel is worth going through whatever, up, down, left, right, and they feel the same about you, because it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be bliss all the time. You're going to hit those plateaus. And I talk about this all the time. In any type of dynamic of a relationship, you don't always have to come across like infidelity or lying or stealing or, different things like that. Somebody could pass away and it could change the dynamic of that relationship, whatever it may be, friends, family. You could have a baby and it can change. You can lose a job. Your finances could be different. You going after your goals and your dreams can change the dynamics of relationship. So dynamics of relationship does not change all because something bad has happened. Like, oh, I caught you cheating. Oh, I caught my friend lying. Or, oh, she stabbed me in the back and was talking about me. It doesn't always have to be that. But one thing I am learning in life, that I have learned and I'm still going to learn because I have not been through everything, is that you're going to go through something, whether you're going through something when you're alone, whether you're going through something with family, with friends, with your career, just life, with your health, mentally and physically. You're going to go through something, but it's just finding out what your boundaries are, finding out what your thresholds are, finding out more about yourself, more about the other person. It's gonna have its ups and downs. Millionaires have ups and downs. People who live on the street have ups and downs. So don't be just so quick to throw away something just because you're going through a rough patch. Obviously, ask God, use wisdom. Nobody's saying just sit out here and deal with anything because you're just so afraid of being alone. No, we're not saying that. But also, don't try to make irrational decisions when you're emotional. And then also don't be afraid to make certain decisions. Certain times you have to give people a break. There's times in your life where, people who I knew in high school, whether it was at my school, whether it's just other friends that I had, I don't have those same friends now, and it happens. But that doesn't mean it was like bad. But you just have to know that life is going to give you ups and downs. And you have to learn, the biggest thing is you have to learn how to deal with those ups and you have to learn how to deal with those downs. Because see, people think just because you have ups mean everything is all good. You could get the dream job of your life and still be under a tremendous amount of stress and anxiety, right? So, it's more so just trying to figure out how to get through things, learning your lessons from past situations, gaining more knowledge, sharpening your wisdom, sharpening your gift of discernment. Most importantly, loving yourself, understanding yourself, being able to push yourself to be open, to be honest with people, to be transparent, obviously with wisdom. Don't be afraid to love. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Don't be afraid because you've had a bad experience or you had a couple of situations kind of shape you on how you may view people or what have you, or how you may view family, or how you may have viewed a situation and how you were handled. That's one thing I've always been committed to do. I've not had always the best experiences when I've had relationships, whether it's friend, family, or intimate, right? Intimate doesn't mean sex, but intimate. But I definitely try to tell myself, no matter whatever the next experience is, love, don't close your heart to to wanting to love, to being loved. Don't be bitter. Don't be angry. Don't be salty, right? You know, there's a time and place. You have those moments. You cry those tears, whether it's at night, whether it's, you know, in your garage because you just pulled in the house and you don't want to go in crying in front of everybody, whether you taking a walk and you shed some tears. But don't let that turn you cold-hearted. This is a cold-hearted world. And you can come across a lot of cold-hearted people. And you know what I find? That you do have people that are evil, but a lot of the times people are just conditioned the way that they are because they just have had a lot of hurt and brokenness, and it's turned into bitterness. And it is hard to change yourself when you are like that if you're not committed to better. See, we can all talk a real good game, but there's no point of talking if there's no manifestation. All that just turns into is just words coupled with a voice that creates a sound, but no manifestation. And I always try to tell people, you know, don't wait until you get older to where you're like, oh, now I should try to live life. And all of our journeys are our journeys. But that's another reason why I'm doing a lot of these reaction videos, because I try to learn from every experience. I don't care if it's somebody telling a joke. I don't care if it's a movie. I don't care if it doesn't matter. I look at things and I try to learn something from it. If it can help me maybe not 100% avoid a similar situation, I still want to get the knowledge from it. So I can keep going on and on and on, but I'm not. Let's get into it.
Wherever you are.
They became close, but had lost touch after graduation.
She went to Hawaii and I ended up here.
But she says that about a year ago, they reconnected.
They're talking about their family, their life.
She was talking about leaving Hawaii.
She's like, if you come here, I got you. You can stay with me.
So in return, Anna had done a favor for Jacqueline.
Jacqueline couldn't work legally in the U.S., and she was having trouble finding a job.
I was filling out all the applications to get a green card, but it was taking too long and I was running out of money.
Until Anna came up with a solution.
She says, look, girl, don't worry about the green card thing. You can use my ID.
She's married. She's not really financially in dire straits. However, her friend is.
No, we cannot do that.
You're like my sister. Come on.
What if we get caught?
Let me worry about that, okay?
She understands that you have a lot of obstacles in your way. And if I can help you, even if it puts me at risk a little bit, I'm going to do that for you.
So Anna, being the generous person she was, allowed her to use her information to then pose as her and work.
Are you sure?
Positive.
Okay.
She did not steal someone's identity. It was given to her, willfully.
I just can't believe she's gone.
So you've heard.
About the body? Yes.
But it's what Jacqueline says next that really grabs the detective's attention.
I was afraid something like this would happen.
Why's that?
Anna was trying to get out of the marriage. That's why she moved to Houston.
She was in an abusive relationship.
Anastasia Oakina Lambert's friend, Jacqueline Afia, has just told detectives that the 27-year-old Nigerian immigrant had actually moved to Houston to get away from her abusive husband, Patrick Lambert.
Jacqueline knew things about the marriage.
Jacqueline knew about his temper, knew about his controlling, manipulative way with Anna.
He was always calling her, keeping tabs on where she was and who she was with.
Did she tell you he was abusive?
Okay, listen to this.
Well, not at first.
Let me pause this.
She told.
Okay. And I'm not being biased to men when I give these percentages, but it says intimate partner violence. More than 12 million people are victims of IPV, intimate partner violence, which is about 24 people per minute. I'm a numbers person. I love numbers. It puts things into perspective for me. IPV includes rape, physical violence, and stalking. 22 to 25% of women will experience DV at some point in their lives. Women are 5 to 8 times more likely than men to be victimized. Men, 1 in 10 men experience intimate partner violence during their lifetime. 85% of intimate partner violence are women. Women aged between 16 and 24 are most likely to be victimized. Wow. African American and Native American men and women are most likely to experience DV. Wow.
Culture, they keep things to themselves involving family issues.
A lot of times in various communities, we're taught to figure it out. You're in a situation, whatever the situation is, find a way out of it. What happens in this house stays in this house.
But Jacqueline says that Anna had eventually opened up and told her the awful truth about Patrick.
There was abuse, both physical and she alleged sexual abuse while she was in Hawaii.
That's when I told her to leave him.
And she took your advice?
No, not at first.
When you're in an abusive relationship, you know, people always ask, why didn't she just leave? Well, that's easier said than done because they feel like they can't get out. And that's because that person has so much control over them.
But eventually, Anna had called Jacqueline and said she was ready to leave Patrick.
So she flew over here to Houston.
Jacqueline helped her get back on her feet and got her involved with the local women's shelter.
The Houston Area Women's Center is very important, very integral to the community, and they help domestic violence victims.
You're able to tap into these resources that the Houston Women's Center has to get a job, to get vouchers, to get food, to get housing.
They even help her with utilities.
She was doing so great. She had a job, she had her own place.
But then, after a few months of freedom, Patrick was back in her life.
The control that he had over Anna was very obvious because she allowed him to come back.
I told her it was a bad idea, but she would not listen.
That illusion when you think you love somebody.
She wanted to make the marriage work because of the baby.
Man, the stuff you will go through.
She probably was holding out hope that he would change.
Oh, and they were married.
When's the last time you saw Anna?
If y'all don't know why I got this
seen
big
or
thing,
spoken to her since September.
Jacqueline had been trying to Facebook Messenger and getting strange responses.
What do you mean by strange?
Well, they didn't sound like her.
You think someone was using her account?
Yeah, I think so.
And Jacqueline has a pretty good guess as to who was impersonating Anna and why.
She told him she wouldn't be surprised if Patrick was behind her murder. And after hearing her story, detectives were inclined to agree.
After talking to Jacqueline, the investigators have their first suspect.
At that point, there was really only one person, and that was Patrick Lambert.
With no leads on his whereabouts, the following morning, detectives follow up with the Women's Center.
The Houston Area Women's Center had an intake sheet that kind of spelled out why she was moving to Houston, why she needed shelter, and it talked a lot about her abuse.
Anna has revealed that Patrick's been violent in the past. He's threatened to kill her. She's doing everything that we ask people to do in domestic violence situations. She's asking for help, and she's fleeing the situation.
But like many women in abusive relationships, she allowed her abuser back into her life.
Some people think they want help, but they may not be fully ready to get the help that they really need.
She stopped coming in for her counseling sessions, and she stopped returning my calls.
The Houston Area Women's Center is trying to locate her, but they figured she just left with Patrick because that's often what happens in domestic violence situations.
And by late November, the center stopped paying for Anna's utilities.
The Houston Area Women's Center required Anna to send them the bills to pay for them. So all the utilities are shut off November 21st.
Roughly 2 weeks later, neighbors started complaining about a smell coming from her home.
Between Jacqueline and Anna's caseworker, the detectives are convinced that the woman in the fridge is Anna, and that Patrick is the one who put her there.
They sure knew they needed to find Patrick, and find him quick. Time is ticking.
But with no new leads, detectives focus on building up their case against Patrick, starting with a search through their database.
They found out on September 2nd, there was a police report where Patrick had threatened Anna with a knife.
Nothing came of that.
She asked the police not to press charges.
Also alarming is what they don't find.
There's no record of Patrick ever being in the military.
Everything about this guy is a red flag.
Next, the detectives reach out to a woman Anna's caseworker had mentioned was one of her close friends at the women's shelter.
What I want to do now is just talk to you a little bit about everything, okay?
Oh, okay.
Did she ever tell you about Patrick?
Yeah, she told me about some stuff that happened in Hawaii. I heard from another friend that he had threatened her. I didn't know that, but she just told me that they used to fight a lot, and her mom sent her like $1,000 for her plane ticket to leave Hawaii.
She had a good support system.
Detectives also talked to Anna's employer, who has only good things to say about her.
She was hardworking. They really thought she was a great employee.
But her boss says the last contact he had with Anna, a Skype message, had made him suspicious.
I don't think that was her, honestly.
The message contained multiple questions about a project that she had already finished.
That's very strange. Yeah.
Yeah, really strange. At the beginning of September, her sister in Germany asked me to get in contact with Anna because she wasn't contacting the family.
I love an accent.
And so I sent her a message on Skype and said, contact the family. And I just thought she'd been really, really busy, you know.
But then he got another strange message, this time from Patrick.
He sends an email on September 28th saying that Anna had a family emergency and that she was going to leave the country and that she wasn't coming into work.
The detectives know it was a lie.
Anna wasn't out of the country. She was in the refrigerator.
Lady did not have to say that.
But where are Patrick and the couple's 1-year-old son?
It can be frustrating having nothing.
Old homicide detectives used to say, if God wants the case solved, we're going to get that magic phone call.
Hallelujah.
And luckily, it doesn't take long.
I love it.
On December 12th, 4 days after they found Anna's body, the detectives finally get a lead.
Homicide.
The caller is a woman named Veronica Castillo.
Veronica is in Querétaro, Mexico. It's not a very populated area in Mexico. It's much deeper in Mexico than you would think somebody would travel.
But according to Veronica, there was someone new in town.
Now look.
He told her his name was Patricio Santiago.
You know something was odd about him because he said, don't ask me nothing about my past.
Patrick done made it all the way to Mexico?
Detectives investigating Anastasia Oakina Lambert's murder have received a tip that her missing husband, 38-year-old Patrick Lambert, may be living on the lam in Mexico.
When did you first see him in Mexico?
I think it was the end of September and beginning of October.
Which is right around the time police believe the murder took place.
And unlike earlier sightings, the detectives have reason to believe this isn't a case of mistaken identity.
According to Veronica, Patrick has a little boy with him.
In the beginning, when I started talking to him, I didn't know he had a baby. Suddenly, he just did it to me like, yeah, I'm a father, I better go and take care of my baby. But he never told me about the baby before.
Veronica said she actually had played with the son some.
She'd also become very close with Patricio.
They end up having a sexual relationship.
Your wife gets murdered in Houston in September, and already by November, you're dating this new woman.
And by then, there was no doubt about Patricio's real identity.
Patrick trusted her enough that he revealed his name to her.
He told her he was Patrick Lambert.
I don't know if I could date somebody
Eventually,
and
he
in a couple
even
months
told
later
her
you
a
actually tell
little
me that
about his
wasn't your
past.
real name. Like, that's
Not
weird.
that Veronica believed much of it.
Patrick said he was married, but that he and his wife were
No,
separated.
Patrick, that's not true.
He gave a lot of weird stories about how Anna was off fighting a war in Africa.
Something was like strange about him. It just
I
kind
don't
of.
think we be ignoring red flags, man.
She figured he was just telling tall tales.
However, there were other
just
things
in dating
about Patrick that were harder for her to ignore.
He had a really bad attitude sometimes.
Well, did he ever get violent with you? Did he ever hurt you?
No, not really. Not physically, but on the, when sometimes you feel that the person He's not, like, all good.
She says he has a bad temper.
But Veronica says the worst thing about Patrick
What?
was the way he treated his son.
She says he would often leave the 1-year-old at
What?
home alone.
I was like, well, we should take the baby. How can we leave him just there alone by himself? And he was like, don't worry about it. He's going to be okay. Things
Oh
like that.
my goodness.
She knew.
See, hold on.
Something's really,
And I don't know this one from Campaign Avi. But it's like, I mean, I'm trying to think. Like, have I ever been in a situation where it was like, that's so suspect? And I'm not judging. But I'm not going to be dating no man and you leaving a baby in a playpen while we getting ready to go. No, it is not that much sex and kicking a bobo and Netflixing and chilling in the world. Like, that's gonna make me look at you like, absolutely not. Like, I wonder why we be avoiding red flags, yellow flags, right? It's like, ma'am, at that point, you right then and there, the moment he would have been like, oh, you ready? I would have been like, no, I'm not going with you. And after this, like, I'm never talking to you again. And I know sometimes when you're in a situation, you just blinded by so many things, your loneliness, just a lot. But it's like, I'm never finna be okay with somebody leaving a baby. Like, what?
really
Let's
off.
get back into
Something's really wrong here.
Now, I commend you for doing your research,
done
Pooh.
a little digging on Patrick.
When something doesn't add up, we tend to investigate.
And it didn't take long
Even
in
a
this
baby
world
is
of the
crazy.
internet for her to find the story about Anna, for her
Man,
to find
we be
the Amber
traumatizing
Alert,
kids.
and more importantly, to see the photo of Patrick Lambert.
At that point, the bells would start going off.
There is a child involved. There's a woman that's been murdered. There's a man on the run.
Once she knew the whole story, Veronica contacted the Houston
I'm glad.
police.
You was a little...
Veronica did
But
the
you
right
wasn't that
thing.
dumb.
And after talking to Veronica Castillo,
And I did some dumb
the
stuff in
detectives
our
make
days.
a call of their own to the
And some
Mexican
of us still
Federal
doing dumb
Police.
stuff. Guilty.
The federales were very cooperative with Houston Police Department.
The Mexican authorities
The
were able
federales.
to locate Patrick and place him in custody.
While awaiting the transfer of both Patrick and his son back to the States, the Houston police get a call from the property manager at Anna and Patrick's townhome.
By this point, detectives have released the crime scene, and the manager is getting the home ready to be re-rented.
Everything's been cleared out.
See, I
A
wonder
cleaning
how
crew's
many
been there
how many
with
houses
bleach,
and stuff
scrubbing
are really
walls,
out here where
repainting,
like
trying to
something
make it
bad
as fresh
happened and
as
people don't even
possible.
know it.
And in the bedroom closet, they find something police had overlooked.
The cleaning crew finds a knife.
Why did the police find
Not
it?
just one knife, actually two knives.
Could either of these knives be the murder weapon?
Y'all had the crime scene
The
people
crime
out there.
scene
The crime
folks
scene
get
people out
back
there.
out
Y'all
there,
never even
and
found the
they're
knife.
able
What
to
were y'all
preserve
looking
them.
for? Why wouldn't you look in the closet?
The
That's
knives
like
are still
a
at the crime
no-brainer.
lab when Patrick,
Oh, they
fresh
flew him
off the
back to
plane from
Houston.
Mexico, finally sits down
He got
with the
McDonald's.
detectives in Houston.
That's a
He came
setup.
right in here by the customs people and everything.
Get him nice, comfy, and full, cause he finna.
Okay, so I'm gonna read you
Well,
right.
technically, he not snitching on himself.
They then
Get
read
him
him
nice,
Miranda
comfy,
warning.
and full,
She
cause he
waves.
finna tell.
He waives his
What
right
happened?
to remain
That's
silent
how they set
because,
you up.
according to Patrick, he has nothing to hide.
Patrick, that's finna be your last
He
meal,
stated that he had been
bucko.
in Mexico since
He
August,
ate it
before
all,
the time of the murder.
Greedy?
The detectives know that's a lie.
We have witnesses that saw him here in September. In fact, there was a police report where they spoke to him in September where he threatened her with a knife.
Although for a moment, detectives play along.
Did you take a bus down there, or did you drive down there, or what? How did you get down?
But it's why he supposedly fled to
could've said something
Mexico
stupid. Don't
that
piss me
takes
off,
the
Patrick.
detectives by surprise.
He said he feared for his son's life and his life.
Because according to Patrick, Anna was mixed up with some very bad people.
I call him the Nigerian mafia.
Patrick
People just
Lambert
say
has told
anything.
detectives investigating the murder of his wife, Anastasia Owakina Lambert, that the 27-year-old Nigerian immigrant had connections to criminals from her home country.
She does things to survive, you know, so if that's what she had to do to hustle. But I said it wouldn't end up good, or it wouldn't, it would end up being a problem.
Patrick tells a tale of how he
The
had
same
to
son you was
flee
living in a
with
playpen
his
solo
son from
dolo.
Houston because the Nigerian mafia had a hit out for his wife.
You think she owed somebody money?
Look at him, just eat.
Definitely.
He eating a
Do
line.
you think that was the reason for her being killed?
I mean,
What if he
I
said
don't know,
thank you?
but she had to take care of family back in Nigeria, and
Is that a Nigerian thing, the way they killed her, to make a statement?
Patrick says he doesn't know.
He said that she was tied up in these things, that she was doing all this criminal behavior.
But the detectives don't believe
Press
a
him.
word of it.
I know you killed Anna. I know you did. Been doing this a very long time.
The story was so ridiculous.
We found absolutely no ties to her having any sort of criminal behavior whatsoever, much less ties to an organized criminal ring.
If Patrick was so concerned, and it was truly a Nigerian mafia hit, why wouldn't he reach out to the police? Why flee to Mexico?
They sick of.
The detectives have heard enough.
Do you want to spend the rest of your life in prison, or do you want a chance to have a life?
He immediately stops talking and asks for a lawyer.
Boy, you getting a public
And the interview
defender.
ends.
At the end of the interview, the detectives arrest Patrick for
he look a mess.
first-degree murder.
Between his history of abuse and the fact that he'd fled
Oh, you
to
won't be getting no
Mexico,
bail, honey.
detectives believe they have a strong case.
But when the case goes to trial in October of 2019, Patrick has one more surprise for everyone.
The day jury selection begins, he decides he's going to represent himself.
Him serving it as his own counsel was one of the craziest things I've ever seen.
What it tells me about Patrick is he's controlling, he's manipulative.
He truly believed he could manipulate the men and women on that jury, the facts of the case, because he believed he was
Patrick,
charming.
You've upset me.
He was the one that could convince
Who
anyone.
you get a baby to?
The prosecutors argue that Patrick's manipulation directly led to Anna's murder.
He probably wanted someone who would just stay at home and cater to his every need. And him trying to control her, it just didn't work.
You have someone that comes from Africa, and now she's in the United States. What that did for Anna was it gave her a chance to see women with a lot of autonomy, to see women who were independent. That woke something up inside of Anna that her husband probably did not like.
She became
was jealous.
more wary of him, and she realized that she had become successful on her own. She didn't need him. She didn't need him in her life anymore.
She just wanted what you and I want. She wanted a fresh start. She wanted to see her son grow up. She wanted her freedom.
She had, we believe, started to distance herself from Patrick, and we think that's what ultimately led to the murder.
Because by late September of 2014, Patrick had become aware that he was losing control of Anna.
His last bit of control was to take her life.
The police and the prosecutors believe that the murder occurred on the 27th.
September 26th is the last time anyone sees Anna.
Then on the 28th,
He had mitigated
he had
gall.
the nerve to send an email to her employer saying that she had gone home to
didn't
Nigeria
believe you.
for a family emergency.
We don't know exactly what transpired. I would imagine she was telling him, I'm divorcing you, I'm getting out of this relationship, and he wasn't going to have it. He took out a knife and brutally murdered her, stabbing her 20 times.
He didn't stab her once and was like, oh no, I don't know what to do. He stabbed her so many times.
This person is in a rage state. That was what Anna felt in the last few moments of her life.
And when the rage subsided, he tried to hide what he'd done.
He took all the shelving out, and he put her body in a position where she would fit in the refrigerator. And 2 days later, he's on a bus to Mexico with the son. He bought the tickets on September 29th. He gets on a bus September 30th. And by October 1st, he's already got a place in Mexico. And he meets Veronica and they have a romantic relationship.
When
Here's
it's the
Tony.
defense's turn, Patrick remains
was
adamant
it then,
that he
Patrick?
wasn't the one who killed Anna.
Patrick didn't seem to really acknowledge that he was in trouble, and so he's asking very irrelevant questions about things
They
like
didn't
the
believe
Nigerian mafia and the Ivory Coast mafia.
He challenged officers on what they didn't do. Did the officers
They knew it
follow
wasn't
up
real.
on the Nigerian mafia claim?
He became very combative, very aggressive.
When the case goes to
How
the
long did y'all
jury,
deliberate?
the prosecutors are confident of a conviction.
You would think this is a slam dunk. They're going to come back in 5 minutes and find this clown guilty.
But
Now
an
look.
hour passes, and then 2,
I
and
can never
3.
do jury duty.
What in the world is going on? Do they believe his story?
Could y'all or have
What is
y'all?
happening in that jury room?
Finally, after 4 days of
That just
deliberation,
would
the
be
jury
so
reaches
much
its
pressure with somebody's life in
Patrick
your
was
hand.
found guilty of murder and sentenced to life in prison.
Under state law, he's eligible for parole after 30 years.
But he'll only spend a few days behind bars.
Shortly after he went to prison, he killed himself.
He took his own life because that was his last part of his life that he could control. No one's going to tell me what to do.
He was like, I control my own life, and so he took it.
A lot of people still have the feeling of eye for an eye. But even that doesn't feel like justice because the victim's family, friends, and those that were close to her still feel the pain for the rest of their lives.
There are many victims, but
He is
the
too
most
cute, man.
prominent one that stands out, in my view, is the child.
Neither one of his
Wow.
parents are there to see him grow up.
Oh, so that was the end of that. Y'all, we have to be so careful not moving out of desperation and out of loneliness where we just getting wrapped up and caught up in certain things. You know, this story is a little different. That was her husband, but I'm just talking outside of that. Like, you know, sometimes we just make decisions. We get into things because we just don't want to be patient and we don't, pardon me, we don't want to wait on God. And it can seem like he's taking too long. He's not hearing us. He doesn't honor what we're saying. He's not giving us the desires of our heart. So then what happens is we begin to take matters in our own hands. And see, when you begin to do that without considering God by way of talking to him and then listening, right? We get into situations that is unfortunate for us. A lot of hurt and pain can be avoided if we take a moment to slow down, right? Be slow to speak, be slow to react. Watch this. Even when you're justified, you have to take a moment. You have to just take a moment. And I do get it. You know, we all want that fairy tale, whether it's with friends, family, or in an intimate relationship. But we want to be very intentional this time around with our connections, who we're entertaining, what we're entertaining. How are we taking care of ourselves? How are we not taking care of ourselves? What are we putting in place so that desperation doesn't become louder than what is for us, so that loneliness doesn't become louder, fear doesn't become louder, pain, bitterness, brokenness doesn't become louder than the destiny, doesn't become louder than your dreams and your goals, doesn't become louder than your call to action, right? So more so, you know, when you're in a place where you're broken, it's good to get sound advice, of course, not just from anybody. It's good to get sound advice. Why do you think there's a wait list for a therapist or, you know, a life coach? Which, if you need a life coach, you can email me, jennifercrawley86@gmail.com. I do one-on-one sessions, but why do you think that there's such a high waiting list for that now? Which I actually like to see that because it shows that people are at least trying to get some help, or at least trying to make sense of their past, of their trauma, of their brokenness, of the childhood pain and the triggers, right? Hopefully everybody is utilizing the service in the way that it needs to be. But if you are feeling like you don't really need a therapist, get you a life coach, read a book, listen to some videos, keep your spirit encouraged, keep your mind encouraged. I'm even talking to myself, right? Get yourself active, find yourself being not just busy, but find yourself working, meaning find yourself doing something. You don't have to work like a Hebrew slave, but find yourself doing something, being positive, being progressive, meaning you have goals and you're going after something, you're chasing something. You're not just so idle to where the devil has time to talk to you. Your thoughts have time to overtake the good thoughts. The good thoughts are the good thoughts are so faint because the negative thoughts are so loud. So, invest in yourself mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, right? But have a balance. Again, it is okay to desire people, to desire love, to desire companionship, to desire togetherness. But be mindful in the space that you're in. Be mindful of what you should be working on. And the work never stops. I don't care how old you are. Even if you're in a nursing home, when I was a chaplain and when I would go see people, yes, they may have been on their deathbed, but guess what? They still working to be alive, or to fight through the pain, or whatever it may be. So we're all going to be constantly working at something. You're not alone. Don't always think that your road is more difficult than the next person. We don't know everything people go through because we don't disclose it. We harbor a lot. We hide a lot. We mask a lot. But you're not alone. But the more you keep working towards the betterment of yourself, the better your outcomes will be, the better the decisions you'll make, the better thoughts you'll have, the better the way you'll handle yourself better, you'll handle others better, you'll see things differently, your perception will change for the better, your open-mindedness will change for the better, your heart will change for the better, right? And so, you sometimes could be in a situation and people could change for the worse. Maybe they're not in a place to where they want better. You have to ask God for the wisdom and the strength and the guidance on how to deal with those situations. I'm not promoting leave your husband, leave your wife, leave your family. That's not for me to say. You have to kind of make those decisions on your own. But it is also okay to want companionship and love and support. And it is just as okay to where you may need to cut some things off, cut some people off, cut some of the way you think off, and make some changes until everybody can get back on the same page. So that was the reaction video to that. We got more coming soon. Tell me what y'all think.